reason, searching for a sign, reaching out with both hands. I gotta feel the kick inside. Oh, fire!
I can edit that when it gets done. And you ready to rock and roll?
Whenever you are.
Let's
go.
Let's go. Hi everyone, it's Renee Marie from Renee Marie's Stroke of Luck Internet TV show. Today is an awesome show. We have a dear friend and really partner of Renee Marie's Language of Love Foundation. And I'm really excited because she has branched out and she became an author. And we'll talk about the topic of the book and the title of the book, which is very interesting and very catching to you. But first I want to talk about with Tracy her grand family planning, which is really why and how we connected a long time ago. And I also want to talk to Tracy a little bit about the healthcare system and how we as Americans can do our part to try to fix it. I mean, we all got to be responsible, so we have to have our voices. But this is going to be a different kind of approach to it because everyone talks about like what everybody's doing wrong, and I really just want to tap into Tracy's knowledge and her wisdom and really have her tell us what we need to do, and that's really the bottom line. Just hang out one second. I just want to bring up the show so that if anybody has any questions, we could all see what's going on. Let's see. Oh, sorry everyone. I'm not very good at this stuff. And then I'll introduce Tracy to you. Okay, there we go. So as I was saying, let me introduce Tracy. She's a dear friend. She's the founder of Grand Family Planning. She is also an author of a book, and she's very well versed and very knowledgeable about caretaking. And she is she's personally my what would you consider yourself?
Financial
advisor. Financial advisor. And I was really in a really, all over the place a long time ago, and Tracy really helped me to gather together. So that's the topics for the show, and let me introduce Tracy to you. Hi Tracy, how are you?
I'm great, Renee. Thanks so much for having me on the show.
Anytime.
It's nice to be back.
Anytime. Tracy's been on our show a number of times when we were in Deer Park from the Madhouse studio, and shout out to Tommy and Janine and the whole Madhouse team. Hi, and Judy Marlowe and Bobby Baby Walker and Kathy.
Yay!
And Yay! Hi everyone. Hi everyone. We miss everyone. We're broadcasting from the Jersey studio. It was actually a little bit easier for
you bet.
for Tracy and I to do this, and we could do it a little bit more often too. So
that'd be awesome.
So let's go right into it, Tracy. Let's talk a little bit about your grand family planning. How that evolved.
Okay, sure. Well, as you know, I was a graphic artist for most of my adult life, and I loved doing that. But then my parents got sick, and it was a big wake-up call, because when your parents who are independent, who are enjoying their retirement, and living in another state, it's very easy for them to pretend that everything's great, right. But because your relationship is mostly on the phone.
Right.
And my dad in particular was really, the Oscar goes to, my father had us fooled for a really long time.
Fooled as far as?
Well, we did not know how sick he really was. He didn't want to worry us. He didn't want to alarm us, but eventually we were going to see them, and and the truth was going to be revealed. So
how far away from you did they live?
they were in southern Florida.
Okay.
And we were living in Little Ferry, New Jersey. So
oh my gosh.
yeah, so it was a trip. It was about 1,400 miles.
Wow.
So and I spoke to them all the time. I mean, Sunday was our day to catch up. And they didn't come north very much. There had been a period where they were like snowbirds, and they would spend time between South Jersey and Florida, and then Florida was just that was where they wanted to be. Right. So they stayed, and when it was cold up north, we'd come down and visit them. Right. So I had been at their apartment with them in January 2002, and we had a big family trip in March of 2003. And that's when it was, it became really clear that something was going on with my dad. And he was, he was having a lot of health issues. And then he had something that really drove him to, hi Patrice.
Hi Patrice.
He suffered a trauma that made it clear that he had dementia.
Wow.
He could not. He landed in the hospital. Couldn't remember.
Wow.
How he got there or why he was there.
And your mother wasn't.
At that point, my mother was fine. She was fairly healthy, but she had some issues too.
How old were they?
My dad was 75,
which is young
nowadays. Yes,
very young.
Yes,
to be 75.
Yes, and my mom was 74. But they both had, they were both overweight. My father had been a smoker. He had been a drinker. He never was into physical fitness, and ate whatever he wanted to, and different generation. Right. My mom had type 2 diabetes and high blood pressure. She had her eyes, macular degeneration. Wow. Thank you very much.
Your mom
Dementia is contagious, by the way.
Your mom had all that.
Yes. But, and she had stopped driving because the macular degeneration made her essentially blind in her right eye, so her depth perception was bad. So my father drove, and my mother didn't because she was afraid to. And when my father got sick, and he was still trying to drive, he'd get behind the wheel and he'd forget where he was driving.
Yeah, but I'm really proud of your mom, because to take your own license away takes a lot of courage and a lot of dedication and a lot of authentic responsibility.
Yes.
Because in life, people don't want to, their homes and their license. It's almost like you're giving up something, your freedom.
Oh, absolutely.
You're giving up your freedom. So that was very honorable of her to do that.
No, she made my life a little less troubled by doing that. Thing was, when my father was having trouble, remember, he'd get behind the wheel and then he would be like, where the hell am I going?
Yeah.
And we finally said, Daddy, you can't drive anymore. And he wanted my mother to take over driving because he wanted
the freedom.
He wanted the
freedom. And he didn't want to, it's so hard because, to have to depend on somebody or something. My friend just broke her ankle and she's stuck in the house because she can't drive. It's her right ankle. So, it's hard. It's hard. And how do you get to the store because she's by herself? How do you get to work? How do you? You can't do all that stuff. So it's
a very big change in your life.
Yes.
So at any rate, my father landed in the hospital, and my brother and I decided to bring my father north to get him seen by doctors in New York. And basically we found out what the doctors had already told us. He had a lot of things wrong with him, and the worst of it was vascular dementia.
Oh my gosh.
So, and it was misdiagnosed a bunch of times. And that's something, folks, the thing you gotta know about dementia is that it is extremely hard to diagnose. Even now, in a living human being, you'll be hard pressed to find a doctor who will say, Alzheimer's disease, absolutely, definitely. It's very, very difficult.
Are they the same, dementia and Alzheimer's?
Great question. Dementia is an overarching concept. It's like, cars. Okay, and within the category of cars, you got Fords and you got Chevys and you got Toyotas. Okay,
Right.
so under the dementia description, you have Alzheimer's disease and you have Lewy body dementia, vascular dementia,
Wow.
frontal temporal.
It's almost like a stroke, because a stroke, it can be different causes of a stroke.
Sure.
Very many different causes. Each stroke is is specific to each person.
Yes, and it is a brain thing.
Yes.
And the other thing that you need to know is that one person can have more than one dementia.
Oh wow.
So you can have several different kinds of dementia in the same patient.
Wow.
So
It's gotta be. It's so surreal, hard to watch. Being the outside looking in. It's almost it's almost like being a stroke patient. Like, I knew that I was gonna be okay. I kind of like knew that. I couldn't explain it to people because of my autism. I'm not my autism. My aphasia.
Yes.
I couldn't tell anyone, but to watch them watching me, it's got to be heartbreaking. It's got to be heartbreaking to watch your family. Because I didn't know you during your father. I knew you during your mom.
Yes.
Let's tell us a little more about your dad.
Yes. So my dad got sick and died in a year, pretty much.
Wow.
He had a bunch of things wrong with him. He had pulmonary fibrosis. He had coronary artery disease. He had an early cancer in his esophagus. He had just a bunch of, and all cross-complicating illnesses. So any one of those illnesses could have been treated, but because he had all these others, like, for instance, the coronary artery disease, they would ordinarily prescribe a blood thinner, right? They couldn't give him a blood thinner because he had a bleeding ulcer and he would have bled out. So all these, basically the thing that we all agreed we had to do was allow Dad to go as quickly as he wanted to.
Right.
And he would tell me, I had my parents living with me for a while, and while they were going through this, and my father said to me, Trey, every day I wake up, I'm disappointed. Because he really just wanted to die. He was so unhappy. He was so miserable. He was no longer the person he valued being. And so, he had congestive heart failure. And that's what ultimately did him in.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it was really hard to let go of my dad as well. But for 3 years, he was going for what's for the kidneys, when the kidneys dialysis. 3 years, 3 times a week. He just was. He didn't want to be here anymore. Yeah. He didn't want to be here anymore. And when he transitioned from being able to communicate with us to being laying in bed and just a vegetable. He was a vegetable at that time. It was only for a day, but we said, it's time. It's time. He doesn't want to be here anymore. It's time. It's time. And I think, and that, as much as it's hard to say, that's a comfort that he passed on, because he's at peace now.
Yes.
He's at peace now.
And you knew him well, and you knew that was what he wanted.
Yes, I did.
So, and
I did. So did my sister and his wife, Sonia, and stuff. So,
and that's a great gift.
Yeah.
And a lot, some people are not in that position. They don't know what their loved one would have wanted, and it's a problem because when our loved ones don't articulate what they want, it can leave a terrible legacy of guilt and regret to their children. So one of the reasons I started Grand Family Planning, after having been through what I went through with my dad, and then my mom, several years later, had dementia also, and I brought her to live with me, and I went through this incredible journey with her. My father's illness helped to get me started with my mother's. I had some. I had something to go on when she got sick because I'd already dealt with her long-term care insurance policy with Dad, so I kind of knew what to expect.
Right.
But as I went through the phases with my mother, because with my mother it was a much longer process. It was 5 years.
Wow.
So as I was going through that, I got to a point where I had to take her back to their apartment in Florida, and I wanted her to pick out things that she was going to bring so that she could live with me and not go back to the apartment because I knew it wasn't going to work anymore. There was no way for her to be functional in that apartment by herself.
Yeah, and we were just talking about when you're saying goodbye to something like a home or your driver's license, or it's sad. It's very hard. It's very hard. It's very hard.
And and when we went back, my mother expected to be normal. She expected to go back to being the way she was because she was going to be surrounded by familiar objects. Right. But because so much of her stuff was already at my house, it was a complete disruption of what she expected. So when she got there, she was just like, I don't know where everything is. Yeah. Why don't I know where everything is? Yeah, so it was even more distressing for her. Yeah. And while I was down there with her, I was very sad, and I was upset, and I was angry, and I was going through my stuff,
and also, and this is something like I tell stroke patients and families and people that when someone in your family, like your kids or your sisters or your mother or your father, is ill, it affects everyone.
Absolutely.
It affects everyone. So I know we'll go back to that, but how did it change? How did it, like, you were working?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was working out of my home.
Were you still in the architectural?
No. No, graphic design.
Graphic design.
Yeah, I was a graphic artist, and I was working out of my home. I had clients. I would go out and I would call on certain clients. Certain clients I had to be like at their facilities, but a lot of the work I was able to do in my home office.
Right.
But it got to a point with my mom living in my house where I'd be listening for her, and did she fall down? Did she leave the refrigerator open? Did she leave the fire on in the kitchen? I mean, there were things I really had to I had to be on top of.
Right.
And she had a psychotic break in December of 2010, where she thought that she saw trestles and bridges. I live in a single family home. She thought we had an elevator.
Wow.
And she was seeing all these things that I don't see. I don't say wasn't there because I don't know.
Right.
But she was seeing a lot of things that I couldn't see. And she was freaking out. She saw people looking in the windows. There were people in the house having a party and playing music. All kinds of stuff was going on, and she was freaking out. And at that point I said, okay, this is it. Hiring caregivers. I opened her long-term care claim, and that was when it was like, okay, this is moving forward. And I started looking for a place for her to live, because I knew that in time she wasn't going to be able to live with me.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, you have to step back and think about the care of the person.
Absolutely.
And you also have to think about the care of yourself.
Absolutely.
Which I see Lisa on the Lisa deck. When we spoke, she said one of the key things that she said was, you have to take care of yourself.
Absolutely.
You have to take care of yourself, because if you don't take care of yourself, then you're not any value to your family or not only to the person that's sick or has issues, but to your rest of your family. You have to still be strong.
And there you go, and that's why Grand Family Planning exists, because I understand how consuming caregiving is. And I'll hit you with a statistic that people really have got to hear. 50% of family caregivers of people with dementia die before the person they're taking care of.
Say it again.
50% of people, adult children, family caregivers who take care of people with dementia die before the people they're taking care of.
That's because they love them so much that they want to dedicate and do everything they can, because we feel it's our obligation to do it, but we're not taking care of ourselves in the process.
Yes, and that's the biggest problem, is that we are so distracted with their caregiving. You're going to all these doctors with your loved one. Do you want to go to a doctor for yourself?
No.
You think, well, I'm a caregiver. I'm indestructible. Nothing's going to happen to me.
But not only that, you have a hope to fix it for them. And some illnesses like dementia are not fixable.
Yeah.
They're not reversible.
No.
Not yet, anyway.
No.
I should say.
No.
And it's hard.
You can slow them down. You can't stop them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So so I realized that my mother was going to have to go to a place where she could get 24/7 care, and once that happened, once I was able to put her in a place where she was going to be safe, then I went through the process of selling her apartment in Florida, and I started to think in terms of how many people were going to start on this kind of journey, the kind of journey that I was on.
Right.
And how overwhelming and frustrating and heartbreaking this is. And so many people have no clue where to start.
Right. You wanted to bring some education to them.
Absolutely.
And like with me, Tracy really set me up to protect me. So I want to talk a little bit about like the plan that you got for me, because I'm a single woman.
Yes.
So if something happens to me, I have no income.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about just one option in
Sure.
life is this it's an insurance, but it's a special kind of insurance.
Well, yeah. Okay. Full disclosure, in addition to running Grand Family Planning, I am also a licensed financial advisor and an insurance broker.
But everything goes hand in hand, Tracy.
Sure, of course.
Everything goes hand in hand because you needed to offer that to people as an option, and you don't.
Absolutely.
And Tracy doesn't do it. Tracy doesn't do the one to help the other. She does them as help and support for people.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Right. I have a holistic approach.
Yes.
And I wanted to find something like, because of my parents' long-term care insurance policy. Okay. And there's a chapter in my book called Long-Term Carelessness. And it'll give you a window into the kind of stuff that I had to go through.
And stay tuned. We're going to let you know the title. We're going to hold you up on that.
I wanted to find something that made more sense for people, because it's upsetting when you go through all this stuff and you want to be sure that you give your parent the right kind of care.
Right.
And then there's an insurance company who says to you, oh no, you can't do that. We're not going to pay for it.
Right.
So I wanted to find something for me and for my friends and for my family that made sense, and for healthy people. The policies that you have and the policies that I have for me and my husband are with an insurance company, and if you want to know more about it, I'd be happy to tell you. I just don't want to get into any trouble with anybody by talking product. But I would like to say that there is a type of life insurance that comes with something called accelerated benefits.
Is that what I have?
That's what you have.
Okay.
And the
which is interesting, because I always thought that life insurance, is that what it is? It's a life insurance that when you pass, then your family gets the benefits.
Right.
So,
and it does do that.
Right.
It does do that.
Right. But this is the part that if I didn't meet Tracy, nobody would ever have told me that. Nobody would have ever looked at it like, weighed out all the options and looked at my profile myself and thought so this would work best for you.
Absolutely.
So tell us.
So the whole idea behind these kinds of tools is that you can accelerate the death benefit if you get sick. So if you get a terminal illness, if you get a critical illness, if you get a critical injury, or if you have a situation like where you have dementia, where you cannot participate in activities of daily living, you can't get out of bed yourself, you can't get to the bathroom yourself, you can't dress yourself, you can't feed yourself, those kinds of issues.
And no one wants to talk about that.
No, because
no one wants to think about it. Nobody wants to talk about it.
Right.
Nobody wants to talk about it. But the fact is that you need to have that conversation.
Absolutely.
And you need to have that conversation when you're healthy.
Precisely, because everyone who can't qualify for life insurance wants it, right? But people who are young, who don't know that they need it are, if they utilize these tools the right way, if you do get sick, right, you can use the money in the policy to take care of yourself, to pay for care, to pay for a home, to pay for someone, and you cannot be told how to spend the money. In other words, let's say you want to pay one of your daughters to take care of you. With Renee's policy, she can do that.
Right.
Right?
Because I'm in control.
You're in control. It's your money.
With your help.
Right. You have a traditional long-term care policy, or Medicaid. Oh my God, they can tell you who you can hire. You can't just hire anybody. You have to stick to their rules. So that's another thing that I really like. And if you don't get sick, glory hallelujah, and you live to be 90 in your 90s, you can take money out of the policy,
right,
and say,
right,
all right, you know what?
It's mine.
It's my money.
It's mine. I've been the one that's been paying for it all this time.
Right.
Let me, enjoy it.
While you're alive.
Yeah, while I'm alive.
Right. And then your kids can get all your other stuff.
Right.
Right? Or you can take them on a trip to Europe. Or whatever you want to do.
Or I may need it to survive at that time.
Right.
I may need it.
Right.
And that was one of the things that I really loved about the fact. But I really want to reiterate, and I know Tracy does as well, is you have to have that conversation. You have to have tough conversations. And I believe that what's grand family planning is about is
the conversation.
Is the conversation. To start the conversation and really to discuss the things you have to do. I mean, I didn't have, what did I have? I didn't have a will. I didn't have a proper will. I had a will, but I didn't have an updated will.
Right. And healthcare proxy.
And a healthcare proxy. I never made one, but what I did was, and I know this is legal, is I wrote out exactly what I wanted and had it notarized.
There you go.
I had it notarized. Because at that time, my attorney couldn't do it because they were busy, and I was asking around. And I said, I need to have one. I don't want to live without one because I don't want the government telling me or my kids what's going to happen to me if something should happen. And we have to think along those lines. And thinking about it is not bringing it to action. It's not.
No. And we really do have to take that step. And you want to make sure that your kids know what you want and where to find that information.
Right.
So you don't want to be in a hospital with, God forbid, with a tube down your throat and your kids like trying to figure out where everything is.
They don't know.
Right.
They don't know.
So and that's extremely important. You got and there are another thing that we do with grand family planning is we provide tools to help you organize that stuff.
Right. Right.
And we also do we have partner organizations that help you to navigate, that help you to pull, reminiscing. This is a really powerful thing. A lot of people, how many people do you know who've lost a loved one and they will not erase their voice messages or their answering machines because that's the last clip that they have of that person's voice, right? So what we help you to do is put together mindful reminiscences.
Wow.
So, and you can use there's a free application you can get for your smartphone. Take a picture of anything and then record your loved one talking about what's in the picture. And then it uploads to the Legacy Stories website.
Oh, that's awesome!
Isn't that great? And then when the person is gone, anybody in the family can download an MP4 of the pictures and the voice.
It's almost like a modern video, a modern movie. Because my father used to have the movies, and we were on there. But it's like a modern movie, like those old time movies that you watch, and people are now living on their phones,
Right.
So,
but this is a way of capturing reminiscences in a really nice format that everybody will be able to get to.
Right.
So it's a really cool tool, and we are. Grand family planning is a concierge of legacy stories.
And you have to. You really need to talk about it. No matter what age you are, you need to protect yourself. You need to protect yourself. So give them the contact information, and then we'll get into the next segment. But give them the contact information for grand family planning.
Okay.
And really, if you have any questions, reach out to Tracy because I don't never, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, I don't like to promote people or to give my recommendations about anybody, because I always try to be very neutral. But I really have a passion for Tracy, because she really does do things from her heart, and I know that because she's worked with me. And I would never recommend somebody I can't use myself, or I wouldn't use myself. So give them your contact information.
Okay, so Grand Family Planning, our website is very simply grandfamilyplanning.com. And there are a lot of really great tools and resources on there. So if you go to the resources tab, you'll see all kinds of really great stuff that we're offering. Caregiver links, and there are some free courses and a webinar that we're offering, and I'll get to that in a minute. Our contact information is on the page. If you want to reach me by phone, my office number is 973-962-1880. All right, and everything's on the Grand Family Planning website. So by all means, and if you want to contact me, you can contact me off of that. There's a contact page where you can fill in a form and contact me, and it's got the phone number there too. So
good.
So
Good.
Please do feel free to reach out and take advantage of the free tools.
Good. So I just really want to touch a little bit on healthcare, because you know, we have to be a part of it. We have to voice our opinions, not our opinions, but on our education, on what we need to do as Americans that have prior illnesses, like I've had. I wouldn't call it an illness, but existing conditions and
A pre-existing condition,
sure,
of course.
And you know, it's ongoing every single second, every single moment. So Tracy, your wisdom, your education, you know, tell us what we should do about it. And I know you wanted to tell us a story as well. So really tell us how we as individuals could be the voice for ourselves.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that opportunity, Renee. I guess it's something that's close to my heart. I actually wrote an article on LinkedIn called Why Congress Can't Fix Healthcare. And in my opinion, you know, the problem with healthcare is that we're looking at how to pay for costs that are out of control. And what we really need to do is to establish a rate card for what fair prices are for everything that we need. You know, what are the fair prices for the drugs? Let's make the drug companies accountable and say, okay, based on what it costs us to develop this drug and how many of them we're going to sell and what it costs us to make the drug now that we've invented the drug, here's the price. And you know, and make it and make it the same for the world. Hello, I mean, because you know, in the United States we pay. Across the board, we pay so much more than the rest of the world does.
Right.
So,
well, didn't they have like even the shots for
the EpiPens?
The EpiPens. I mean, why did they triple the price on those?
It was an executive decision, and it was a bad executive decision.
An executive decision, but it didn't cost them more to make it?
Martin Shkreli is in jail because of these kinds of decisions.
Yes.
So, that's neither here nor there. But what I'm trying to get at is that as long as the current system is in place, it's not going to change anytime soon, in my opinion. And I think what we need to do is to become informed consumers, and we need to do things to protect ourselves. Number one, it's worth the search for a doctor who knows how to navigate the system.
Yeah.
Okay? Because that will make all the difference in the care that you get.
Or, you know, or you have a friend who navigates it for you. What's her name? That woman I was supposed to go out to.
Oh, Eileen?
Eileen, was that
for older folks.
Because if you don't, like I don't know. I mean, I'm not good at that. That's why I have you. So if you can't do it yourself, at least find someone
who can help you to find the right doctor.
That you can trust.
Yes.
That can lead you to that. And Tracy's very good at, you know, if you have any questions, Tracy's very good at leading you in the right direction as well.
Yes. Well, and as you know, my husband got very sick at the end of last year, beginning of this year. January 1st, and New Year's Day, which was a Sunday, by the way, my husband was desperately ill.
Oh my gosh.
And because of my contacts, I knew a doctor who was willing to make a house call on New Year's Day. I sent him a text message. I said, would you make a house call for me today? And he said, sure. He came to the house. He saw my husband, looked at his foot, listened to his heart, said, you're going to the hospital today and we're going to make you better. But it was not easy, but because I had a doctor who knew how to navigate, I basically saved my husband's life and his foot. So, but by knowing who your resources are, it's extremely important.
That's the key. The resources and surrounding yourself with a team of experienced.
Absolutely.
A team. You need a support team.
Yeah.
You need a support team.
Right. And
some of us are better at things and others are better.
Absolutely. And nobody can know everything. Right?
No.
But it's that expression, you're only as strong as your weakest link.
Yes.
I have a network of strong links.
Yes.
So my chain is really it's huge and it's powerful. So and I am willing to use my powers to help my clients. So here's another thing that happens because of the way insurance is, especially Medicare folks. For those of you who are on Medicare or who haven't experienced it yet, Medicare does cover a lot of stuff. And there are a lot of really great things about Medicare. However, if you do not know how to utilize Medicare wisely, you can be in big trouble. And a lot of the clients I've gotten this year are people whose loved one went to the hospital and then to a rehab. And, Medicare, when you have an issue, a medical issue where you go from the hospital to a rehab for rehabilitative services, if the doctor writes the orders correctly, all right, if your condition has been documented correctly, you should be able to get 90 days, 90 to 100 days, depending, not going to get into it, of coverage through Medicare. All right. I was getting calls from people whose loved ones were getting booted out after a week because they did not have.
They don't know. They have no idea what they're entitled to. Mm-hmm. You're entitled to, and honestly, that's the key because people just do whatever is told to them.
Right. And the families would come to me saying, fix this. It's like, well, here's the problem. You started here and now you want me to. So let's look at what you can do now.
Right.
Now I had another client whose aunt was in a rehab, and they wanted to release her after about 3 weeks back to her apartment, which was a 3rd floor walk up. And the place was a disaster from what I understand. It was it hadn't been cleaned. It needed to be cleaned. And the aunt had cellulitis, which was her legs were not good.
Wow.
So they're going to release her home to go up 3 flights of stairs in a filthy apartment. They hadn't written her prescriptions. They didn't have it was just and it was such a mean-spirited, nasty thing. And because of my team, we were able to buy her another day at the rehab so that we could get her into a safe place.
Figure it out. Figure out what she's doing.
And so we were able to get her into a safe place where she could stay, so that, and now we're in the process of applying for Medicaid for that aunt. Now, this all came about because this woman didn't plan anything. She was single, she was alone, and her niece, who was up in New Jersey from the Carolinas taking care of her father, got thrown into this because there was nobody else.
Tracy, we have to have a gathering for people. We have to educate people.
Absolutely.
We're going to set up like an education. And honestly, you need to come. All my friends, us young people, everybody, we need to come just to know what you need to do to help yourself. And I'm going to talk to Tracy about it because this just popped in my head. We'll have her team around and we'll educate you on protecting yourself. Protecting yourself.
Yes. And by the way, we've already got some of that in place. We are actually running a course called Team Building for a Successful Retirement and Beyond. Okay? This course is going to be offered at Bergen Community College through the Institute for Learning and Retirement. It's 6 classes in the course. Each section is being taught by different professionals from my team.
Wow.
And we're going to show people what they need to do, exactly what you're talking about, how to protect yourself.
So I don't even need to do it. We can go to Tracy's class.
And by the way, you don't have to go physically to the class because it's being offered, are you ready? On Facebook Live.
Woo!
So if you want to sign up for this course, okay, again, contact me. It's going to be offered in a closed group and it's free, okay, because it's a pilot. We haven't done this before. But it's going to be free, so sign up for it. All I want to know is who you are, so I can ask you what you want.
But I have a recommendation that you go. Because when you're involved with something, when you take the time for yourself, when you invest the time for yourself, and you don't have the stuff that you need around you, you need to do it quickly. You need to do it quickly, and you need to protect yourself, and that really is the bottom line, and that really has to do with the healthcare out there, and like Tracy said, we can't fix the healthcare, but we could protect ourselves.
Right, and you know how to make the most of what's out there. Incidentally, the classes start October 13th. And
what day is October 13th?
It's always on a Friday at 12:30 in the afternoon. So if you can't physically make the class or you can't be there live, you can catch the replay on Facebook Live.
Right. Okay.
So but what's nice about doing it live is that you'll be able to ask questions. So that's a very cool thing.
So maybe we'll set up one in the evening.
Yeah, sure.
We'll set up one in the evening. Just because I think it's really important. I really think it's important that we do that.
Sure.
Just to provide the information to everybody.
Absolutely. And so those classes run every Friday from October 13th to November 17th. The second class, by the way, October 20th, if you're looking at Medicare and want to understand it, I've got someone who's a Medicare specialist, a Medicare broker, who's going to talk about Medicare and the different kinds of Medicare that are available. And we're also going to talk about Medicaid. And most people are extremely confused about the difference.
Yes.
So the name of the class, the name of the class is Medi What? Because so many people don't know the difference between Medicare and Medicaid, and you're gonna when you're done with that class, you're gonna know.
Wow.
So that's our big educational initiative for the fall. And
you're also doing webinars.
Yes, and tomorrow night.
To lead right in.
Yes, tomorrow night, the last Wednesday of every month, we're doing a live webinar. From my studio in lovely Ringwood, New Jersey, where we're going to the topic is the courage to live with. So every person who comes on the show has had some kind of caregiving situation or some kind of some kind of setback that they overcame. And we're going to be I had a colleague of mine who was widowed at 51. And 10 years later, she's remarried, and things are.
How did she do that?
I'll send you a link.
You gotta send me a link.
Yeah, and she's awesome. And and we talked about what she would have done differently, if she'd known it was coming, right? So 10 years later, things are a lot better, but she's still picking up the pieces because there were things that her husband who died didn't want to talk about.
Right.
Even when he knew he was sick, he didn't want to, I'm sorry guys, but men, love you, but men are really big in the denial column, okay? So, I just, you got to get past it, folks, because bad things happen to good people.
It does. It
Right.
does.
So tomorrow night I'm going to be talking to Miriam Townian, and she is a grief counselor, and she's going to be talking about the way she helps people to process through grief.
Wow.
And she works with. I've actually introduced her to some caregivers I've known. And she works with them to help them deal with, because after you've been a caregiver, it's so
Right.
consuming. So
it is consuming. Even when I go to perform at assisted livings or rehabs and stuff, just the energy that
excuse me.
is given to everyone, it really it drains me. It drains me because
Yes.
I run up and down, and try to connect with each resident. I look in their eyes, and I wanna feel them. I want them to know that
You've connected.
I'm connecting and I'm there, and
Mm-hmm.
and I care and I want to bring joy to them. But it's almost like they want you so bad, and it's just. It's a joy for me. I actually perform every Christmas at Preakness Healthcare, right on Christmas Day, because
That's a beautiful day.
I really want to bring them joy on that day. And
Yes.
and actually I posted this on my website. A sister of a gentleman that was in a rehab had sent me a memo, and she said, "Thank you for doing this. You have no idea how knowing that you're going to be there on Christmas brings some joy to us, because
That's
we make it a ritual to come down
Uh-huh.
and see you and to
Yeah.
perform, and that's what it's about. That's what it's
Yeah.
that's what it's about. That's what it's about. It's honestly a joy.
And
It's
God bless
honestly
you
a
for
joy.
doing it. It's a lovely thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it like, I have my health. I have my health now today. And we have every day with our families for Christmas, but those that are in rehabs and hospitals, and they're by themselves on those days. And I got to tell you that Preakness Healthcare does an incredible job. Lucinda Corrado, who is the executive director, is there, and she does the same thing with each and every individual, and great leadership trickles down, and every single person in that location really cares about the individuals, and they
Right.
really make them feel at home. So it is a blessing. It's a blessing.
That's wonderful.
So we're going to go into our last topic, which is the book that Tracy, after you heard Tracy's entire story and how we got to the place where she wanted to actually document everything to bring education to everybody. And the title is, you ready for the title? Let me see where the title is. I want to say it, Tracy.
Okay.
Okay, you ready? Dementia Sucks. I only said that because it's the title of the book. I would never say that, but that's an actual title to a book, and it's actually a caretaker's journey with lessons learned, which you actually heard Tracy just telling. So really, tell us, how you got. Finally, you were like, you know what, I got to put this in writing.
Yes. Well, the funny thing was, for years, people would say to me, you got to write a book.
Yeah.
And I would say, yeah, right, when am I going to write a book?
Yeah.
I'm doing all these things. And but the thing was that when I was caregiving my mom, that incident when I was in Florida, and I'm watching her fall apart, and I'm losing my mind. And I said, you know what? I'm going to journal, because that's my
release.
process. Yeah.
It's a way you could share. I mean, it's almost like when I write or I think, or it's almost like, okay, you're putting it all out, you're putting it in the bag, you're tying it up. Okay, it's out there. I can release it now.
Yes, and it's very cathartic for me. But I also decided at that time that I would blog, because I felt if there was something that I learned that could help other people, let me put it out there.
Right.
So I have some talent for writing. I always have, and so I would first I'd like vomit out my blog, my stuff, and then I would work on it, and I would format it, and I would just try to make it as
Palatable.
yeah, well, as
Soft.
well, readable, entertaining even, because I wanted people to read it and come away with not just what I was saying, but have the experience of, oh wow, this is really well written. So,
Right.
but
But it also made it where they didn't read 2 lines and, didn't want to read anymore. It was like inviting to them.
Right. And according to WordPress, I had like 600 followers. Which,
Wow.
I mean, it's not huge, but it was something.
But it's awesome.
And so during that time, like starting in October of 2010, and until my mother died in April of 2015, I kept made regular entries.
Right.
And then when my mother passed away, I left it. And about a year later, I went back and looked at it, and I was like, it was like experiencing it as a reader.
Right.
And I was like, I appreciated like what I had written, and I was really glad it was there, because you forget so much and things get foggy.
Right.
You get stuff mixed up. And then I thought, wait a minute, I have a book here. So I took all the posts and I compiled them, and I worked on them, I polished them, and then when my husband got sick, because I really couldn't go out on appointments, I couldn't see people, because I was every day I was in the hospital, I was at the doctor's,
You used that time,
my downtime, to work on the book, and then I committed early in the year to getting it published. And
who published it?
It's being published by Post Hill Press. They're in Brentwood, Tennessee, and they also have an office in New York. And I submitted it to a woman who helps new authors to find the right publisher. And when I sent the book to her, and it was already pretty much done. It was formatted. I put it together like a self-published kind of book.
Right.
But I said to her, I said, I don't want to self-publish. I want a real publisher.
Right.
Because I want this to reach the right audience.
Right.
So she read it, and she said, I think I know who will publish this. And she sent me a contract, which was really, really fair. And then she proposed it to the first publisher that she had in mind, and they loved it.
Wow.
So
you have to
they
introduce me to her for my other 2 books.
So I met the publisher because I had already booked a flight down to Nashville to visit a very dear friend of mine who lives down there.
I have a good friend too, Coochie. I don't know if she's on this watching us, but hi, Cooch.
Yeah, so
she lives down in Nashville.
So I went to see my friend, and I went to see the publisher, and we've already gone through the edits, and now I'm waiting for them to design the cover and the format of the book.
Right.
And I've been getting some really nice reviews for the back cover, and I'm excited.
Wow. That's awesome. And it's going to make a difference in people's lives. It's going to give them a tool that they could, as they're sitting there with their family that is not doing well, or on this journey, at least they'll be able to know that there's support there, and they can reach out to the support through reading your book.
Right. And what's also interesting is that there's a lot of really funny stuff in it. It's not all doom and gloom.
Right.
I mean, there's there are a lot of like really humorous.
Can you give us one?
Sure. Well, let's for instance, there was one time where my mom was complaining about her having a toothache, and then she said to me, "Well, I know it's not a toothache because I don't have a tooth." But her plate was bothering her. And I said, "Mom, have you cleaned under your plate lately?" And she said, "No." And I said, "All right, look, I already had caregivers coming in. So I said, You know what? When your caregiver gets here, I'm going to ask her to take you in the bathroom, and we're going to fix this." Okay. So the gal came to the house, and I explained the situation. She said, "Fine, we'll take care of it." And I go into my office, and I'm doing stuff, and I'm running around, and then I notice my mom is sitting alone in the living room, and she's nodding like a junkie. And I'm like, "Mom, are you okay?" And she said, "I'm fine." And I said, "Mom, what did you do?" "I found my pills." I said, "You what?" "I found my pills. I feel great." I said, you took Vicodin rather than clean under your plate? And she said, yeah. And I said, Mom, you know, when the painkillers wear off, it's going to hurt. And she's like, I'll take more pills.
And at that point, you know, it's just...
you know, what are you going to do? And I told my husband about it later, and he thought of it. He starts laughing, and he's like, oh, I shouldn't be laughing. But it's like, you know what? It's
How
funny.
old was she?
At that point, 2010, she was 81.
81. And how old was she when she passed?
86.
86. So she did live a fairly...
5 years with,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
with...
And so she lived 5 years with that state.
Well, it was increased. Like an interesting part of the process was that after she'd been diagnosed, after she had her psychotic break, her doctor put her on Exelon patch, which is a medication that arrests the progress. And she actually got like better.
Wow.
For a couple of weeks.
Wow.
Where she
almost
was,
a rainbow before the storm.
Yeah. It was
almost.
Yeah, almost.
Yeah.
And
because my dad,
mm-hmm.
We went in on Saturday. He had the tube down him. They took the tube out, and he was sitting in a chair, and he said, what did he say? He said, you know, he was having a full meal. He had a full meal before he passed. He ate everything, and then the next morning is when, you know, we went through the trauma and stuff like that. But it was like, you know, he was going to eat that last meal before he passed. So it was the rainbow before the storm.
Yeah, yeah. And in my mom's case, I mean, you know, I every day I'd wake up and wonder, you know, like who's going to be here today? You know, which version of my mother is going to be around? You know, and it was nice to have her, you know, functioning and being the mom I knew.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
But of course it didn't last. And the thing you got to know about dementia is it isn't linear, and I talk about that too in the book. You know, it's
linear?
It doesn't go like. It goes more like. It's kind of like the stock market.
Yeah.
You know. You know, you have days where like it'll go way up and then it'll go way down, and then you know it's so. Yeah. But I mean, the general trend is down, right? You're not. I mean, you know, nobody gets out alive.
Yeah, yeah.
But because you know, by the end, my mother, you know, she was not verbal. She, you know, she couldn't wear her dentures anymore, and it made her look scarier. You know, because you know her face was drawn.
Yeah.
And. You know, and most of the time when I'd go to visit her, she didn't interact with me anymore. She didn't, there was no look of recognition. Although, just on one of those days where she wasn't recognizing me, all of a sudden, as I was getting ready to go, she would have a lucid window and say something to me that let me know she knew who I was, and that, you know what I mean? It was crazy.
I know.
So
I know. So, where can they watch to pick up this book? Like
okay. Well, contact me. There's a page on Facebook.
Okay.
It's called Dementia Sucks.
Okay.
So if you look for Dementia SUX, Mark Zuckerberg would not let me use SUCKS.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. First, keep us some decency.
Well, it's not a disgusting.
I know, but it's
you know, and here's the thing.
But you know, people, if you give them an inch, we don't. But somebody will take like 20 yards, you know.
Yes,
so.
but the truth is, anybody you talk to who's dealt with dementia will tell you it sucks.
Yeah.
It absolutely sucks. And I wanted the title to be succinct, provocative, and to say, you know, and to say to people, look, here's somebody who understands. And incidentally, you don't have to be someone who has an aging parent with dementia to appreciate the book, because there's a lot of family stuff in it.
You got that question. Took that question right out of my, because you know we work with strokes and aphasia. So I was going to ask you: is this book geared towards somebody that suffers a stroke or a family member? Can they tap into this book?
Yeah, in fact, One of the first people I gave the book to read was my niece. She's a 27-year-old senior copywriter for a major media company in Manhattan, and I knew that if she wouldn't BS me.
No.
And because she's always been brutally honest with me. I love you, Jess.
Which is a good thing.
Oh yeah,
sometimes you have to have. She's that.
Yes, she's awesome. So that when I sent her the book, she read it in a day, and she got right back to me, and she said, "I'm so impressed."
Wow.
And she said, "And I can see people my age reading and enjoying this book."
Oh wow.
So, and that's when I said, okay, because the thing is, it's not just, there are aspects of it that are like, lessons learned, but there are also aspects of it that are like, this is family. This is what a loving relationship looks like. It's not all candy and flowers.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to it, and human relationships are really complex. And that, by teaming up with people in your life and being loving and listening to each other, you have an opportunity.
Yes. Yes.
And a lot of healing can take place.
And maybe this is something that you should gear towards the schools, because my daughter had to read what is that, the mouse versus cheese?
Who took my cheese?
Who took my cheese?
Yeah.
For her, she's mastering in child life specialist.
Okay.
She's mastering in that, and so that's really interesting that they took a concept like that.
Mm-hmm.
So your book would be awesome to educate, so that the doctors and the nurses and that, the caretakers and the people that take care of the patients could understand it from another side.
Sure.
Very interesting.
Sure.
Very interesting.
Sure.
Very interesting.
Yeah. And I met a woman in my travels who used to sell long-term care insurance, and now she started a company. Her brother got cancer, and she had sold him a long-term care policy, and she had so much difficulty filing a claim for him. She was horrified. And she started a company that helps people to file long-term care claims.
Wow.
And, I sent her my chapter on long-term carelessness, and she's like, I wish I had seen this years ago. And, and people need to know. People don't understand how difficult, just because you have insurance doesn't mean you're going to be able to use it.
I know.
Right?
I know.
It's like a complicated tool. If you don't take out the manual and read it and understand it, you're not going to be able to use the tool. And it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's why everyone needs to surround themselves with trustworthy professionals who can help them.
Yeah. Because you don't need to know everything yourself. Because like I said,
You can't.
I am not, I know my strong points and I know my weak points. And I tap into people like Tracy and, and my accountant and my coaches. I'm a life coach as well, but I need coaches in my life. I need my confidants around me to be able to call and say, am I crazy? Or, what are we doing? Or, and they will give me the truth. Like I have a therapist. She's a Catholic therapist. I don't know if she's Catholic. She's a religious therapist. And I go to her, and what I love about it is we pray to start out with, but then, I say to her, like, I just want to share with you, like I go every year for my annual review. Just like I go to the doctors, I go to her so she catches up and she knows what I'm doing, and she gives me her feedback, and what I love about her and life coaches is and Dominic Cordelessa as well. They make you do the work. They make you think about it. They make you try to figure it out. And so it's important to trust in your people around you.
Absolutely.
But trust, you gotta take people that by recommendations and really test people. And really, talk to them, and don't be in a hurry, and, references and stuff like that. That really is important, almost like you're going for a job interview, because it's your life.
Absolutely.
It's your life, and you have to take care of yourself, because if we don't take care of ourselves, we're not going to be able to do our part in the universe. So Tracy, this was really fun. Really fun.
I agree.
So yeah, we're going to talk about it, Tracy and I, to come up with a session where I hope everybody will come, and maybe we'll just have cake and coffee or something, or just so that everybody, or maybe we'll do it at a like Applebee's or something, that everybody could buy their own drinks and come and really educate you.
Sure.
on really important matters. Don't wait any longer to educate yourself and to tap into and make sure you have all the documentation which Tracy can help you with. So, do you have anything else that you want to give your last piece of advice? Something that you would want them to remember and capture them?
Okay. The one thing I want to say to everybody out there, if you're listening, health is a limited time offer. It is the greatest gift you can have in your life. So while you have your health, appreciate it and honor it by making sure that you're taking care of what you need to take care of while you are healthy, because you won't be healthy forever. I'm sorry, I hate to be a downer, but that's the truth. So, enjoy it while you have it, but take time out to set the groundwork, because someday you're not going to be as healthy.
No, and
you don't want to be scrambling when you're old and enfeebled. You want to have everything in place before that happens, because we're all living longer. And if you make it to age 65, there's a 70% chance that you're going to have a long-term illness.
Wow.
So don't wait for it.
That's incredible statistics, right? Incredible statistics.
But they're absolutely true. And incidentally, there are 10,000 people in the United States turning 65 every day.
Wow.
And that's going to continue for years.
Wow.
So there are going to be a lot of old people kicking it.
But we're going to be kicking it really fun.
Well, it'll be fun as long as we can keep it fun. But you know what? You'll be able to have a better time if you prepare and know that.
Yeah.
That you have the peace of mind to know that you've got somebody who's gonna have your back.
Yeah.
Right? When you can no longer make the best decisions.
It's very true. You have to take care of your health. You have to take care of your spirit. You have to take care of your finances. You do. We have to take care of ourselves first. God first, us second. Personally second. And everybody else, is important. Don't get me wrong. It's not that they're not important, but we need to take care of ourselves to be able to be there for them properly and fully. So,
and taking good care of yourself is the best gift that you can give your family.
Yeah.
So don't put it off.
Yes. So I can't believe it's been over an hour. We've been having a blast. Tracy and I could talk forever. We're going to do this again, I promise. So I just want to recap on how important it is, the way Tracy had mentioned, to really take care of yourself. I believe that I had a second chance at life when I had my stroke. I think it was a stroke of luck, the same name as my book, because I saw the value in life, and I make sure that I work for God. I tell that to people all the time. I work for God. I do whatever He calls me to do. And this platform, which is an incredible platform to be able to not only tap into you at this moment, but to be able to tap in ongoing afterwards. We Facebook Live it. You can visit on Facebook Live. You can visit on our website in a few hours, www.ReneMarie'sStrokeOfLuckTV.com. So if you have any people that want to, but we have to always remember that to be love and to spread love and to really cherish and value each and every single moment you get to cherish, to experience in life, because like Tracy said, it's short, and life is a gift. So let's blow our kisses. Bye everyone. See everyone on Saturday with Demont. And I just got confirmation that my friend Mark McEwen is on October 15th, I believe it's a Saturday. So stay tuned for that. I can't wait to interview and to talk about with Mark. He is an incredible individual, really, really an incredible individual. So I can't wait. And I hope to do something live with him too, but he's going to Skype in. So we'll see you later. Bye. Peace, hope, and love. We're going to get up. Okay. Bye, everyone.
Yikes! She's trash, you guys! Bye, guys.